everyone, and welcome to Achievement Hunters. Today we got a lot of news for you. Today is gonna be a lot. So, I think we're gonna quickly go over our sponsors, and then we'll go right into the video. Today we don't have any sponsors, so today I'm just gonna give a shout out to the Game Grotto. Those two are always fantastic. Let me quickly give them a shout out.
They are great.
There you go. Always, they are always the best. Always be sure to check them out. Anyways, make sure to get the music going. All right, let's just jump right into our first topic, which I think should be, of course, we both got Switch 2s.
Heck yeah.
Hold on, my dock's still loading. Anyways, this week, the Nintendo Switch 2 released. And I was trying to get my capture card to work with the Switch 2 to get it to, hold on. I need to shift myself down. There we go. Anyways, I was trying to get the Switch 2 to, work with my capture card, but it's just not liking me right now. So I will try and figure that out later. But this week, or last week, I don't know what week. Anyways, June 5th, the Nintendo Switch 2 launched. It's the Nintendo Switch again. So, first thing I want to talk about with the Nintendo Switch. The Switch's screen is fantastic. The actual screen for the device is amazing. Like, legitimately. It just looks so good. Second thing we need to talk about is the price. So the price, $450 for a console. What did you think of the price? I personally think it's fair for what we're getting. Especially for the internal screen.
Yeah.
The fact that we're getting 4K, and we're getting 120 FPS screen, and 120 FPS support. That is huge spec upgrades. Like, legitimately, this is the first time Nintendo has ever kind of made up a very prosumer product. So,
yeah,
I think it's good. I think it's a good product for the price. I think might be a tinge bit on the expensive side, but it's not terribly overpriced. The games. Now the games. Well, I want to get back to the games because I think we can talk about that with Mario Kart World. Game chat. So game chat is a new feature of the system that you have to pay for online. You know what? I'm fine with because it's basically running off of Nintendo servers anyway. So I think it's fair. I think it's fair. I think game chat is fair and kind of a unique product. My problem is when it comes down to price. on the games. Um, but back to game chat. So I was testing out the microphone on the Switch 2. People have been kind of clowning on it, which was a surprise. When I started talking with you, Hunter, I thought it was pretty good, especially the noise
Yeah, me too. It
cancellation.
sounded pretty good.
Yeah. Game chat does need to be refined though, and that is the fact that there's no like text or no like text channels. It's either voice or nothing.
Yeah.
This is a collaboration tool with voice only. This Yeah. So it's interesting. The fact that you can't just press the game chat button, send a message that says, "Hey, you available to play?" But no, you have to open a game chat, open a VC, manually open a game chat voice call, and then await the response. You can't just leave it open either to come in and out of. So those are my critiques. Do you have any critiques on game chat
Uh,
or something you'd like to praise
about
game
the
chat for?
about the same as yours was, honestly. Just kind of the lack of like a proper messaging system like PlayStation Network or Xbox has kind of it doesn't completely kill it, but it's kind of a big step back from saying that like it's objectively like really good.
Yeah,
That's about it though.
yeah. Anyways, um, the interface. This is really what angered me. Is the fact that we are back to um we're just copy pasting the Switch again. You know?
Yeah.
Hold on. Hold on, my camera's not picking up on me. There we go. Okay. Anyways. Anyways. Um I really like that it's mostly backwards compatible. Um the horsepower in this thing is really impressive. The fact that it essentially has better specs than a Steam Deck is really impressive. Sorry guys, I'm yawning again. Ugh. Sorry. But yeah, the fact that it's more powerful than a Steam Deck is really impressive. For
I actually didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, well, a base Steam Deck, which is not the one you should get, is $399. But a Steam
Mm.
Deck OLED is like 550.
Mm.
And it's more powerful than that Steam Deck. So, that was super interesting. Um, so evidently, um, moving on from game chat, in terms of Nintendo, um, it was hacked. It was hacked
Already?
day one. Hold on, let me pull up the thing. All right. According to Tom's Hardware, Blue Sky user David Buchanan was the first to show off an exploit that he discovered in the console's shared library. He found a userland return operated programming exploit, or ROP exploit, to overwrite its return address to another piece of code, essentially breaking the sequence. It's super cool that he found that, but also kind of scary. Um, the other thing, the MiG Flash V2 um, has shown working on Nintendo Switch 2. Could pave the way for Switch 1 games on the latest console after initial reports of them not working. Which is super interesting. If you guys don't know, the MiG Switch was essentially a flash cart that you could use to put on to play games on your Switch. So the fact that they were able to get that working and an exploit, a completely separate exploit working on Switch 1 within the first week, that's pretty cool. Just be careful that Nintendo doesn't break your console.
Oh, right, they can do that now whenever they want. Forgot about
Yeah.
that.
Da 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 da. All right, Mario Kart World. Hold on. Let me turn down the music for this one. All right. The Nintendo Switch 2 and Mario Kart World. So Mario Kart World, the big launch title. I think I might complete it once. And that'll be with a guide. Because it is impossible to find all this shit. I'm sorry. It is so impossible to figure out how to find all these question mark blocks, question mark block panels, the P switches in the Princess coins. Like, you have to explore. And I guess I just, it's not my kind of game is to go hunting things down unless I have direct clues on how to do it. I guess what I was expecting is I was expecting a Nintendo Switch. I was expecting a Mario Kart Odyssey, not a Mario Kart Breath of the Wild. And you know what? I would be more fine of that if Mario Kart World had an actual campaign. Because Breath of the Wild had a campaign. It was a very open campaign, but it was still a campaign nonetheless. And considering that this game, without the bundle, is $80. $80! Then yeah. Yeah, so that's my thought on the game. They needed to add either a mission mode, I guess not a mission mode, because they already have the missions, but some sort of campaign to link all these missions. Or do something.
Definitely.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on Mario Kart World?
Honestly, it's about the same as you. Although I will add one thing. I can't tell if I love it or hate it, but the roster itself is, like, for the most part, the actual like main characters, it's good, but the rest of the roster is just like just an NPC or like enemies, which is kind of cool for some of them, but for a lot of them, they're just kind of like weird choices. Like Sidestepper, the dolphin, the cow. Like I love the cow, but like it's still objectively kind of weird. But it's stuff like
Yeah.
that basically. But other than that, that's about all my critique.
Yeah. Other thing, um, so this game has a very high skill ceiling. Meaning it's going to get really sweaty. I I I can I assume all the lobbies are going to be like playing against Japanese players. Um, because you're just
Yeah.
going to be hopping from trick to trick off the wall. It's going to be super nuts. And when I go to grab a game, that's not really what I look for. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it'll be really interesting to just see how it all plays out.
Definitely. Yeah, I feel like I don't think it's gonna happen right away because launch titles tend to have like pretty, I'd say, somewhat active like player bases for a good long while. But once
Well,
this
yeah,
player
and
base starts to
also,
kind of dwindle a little bit, I feel
well,
like
also the
people are
fact that there really isn't any other games at launch. I mean, there's a couple, but to be honest, a lot of them fans are mad about because you're paying $70 for games that are not on the card. Um, which leads me into my
that's
next
also a
issue.
fair point.
Game key cards and codes in boxes. I thought the purpose of the game key cards was to get rid of the codes in the boxes, Nintendo. So why is Split Fiction a code in a box? I was waiting to
Hear
play
about
that game. I'm really mad because I was really looking forward to that game. What it does mean, though, is that there is something super weird with the fact that, like, game key card, you either have either game key cards or you have the full cards, but those are 64 gig cards. So for smaller titles that are only like 10 to 20 gigs in size, it means it doesn't mean anything. Like, they're just gonna go with the game key cards. We're going away from the physical, which is the reason why I buy Switch games. So this is a bit frustrating to me as a Nintendo fan.
Yeah.
So, question for you: did you pick up any other games besides Mario Kart World?
Uh, technically, no. The only other like Switch 2 game I've played is Breath of the Wild, but technically that doesn't count,
Switch
and
2
I also
edition, Breath of the
didn't buy
Wild.
it because I had NSO.
Yeah, I'm about to do the
Yeah.
same. Yeah, that was also the only other one I've played. I mean, no, I mean that's the one that's gonna be one of mine to play. The only one I have played right now is Mario Kart World. I would have played more, but unfortunately, things just my June has been terrible in terms of timing. Everything's been chaos in June.
Mm.
Um, so my question to you was Mario Kart World. Was it worth $80?
Um, Almost. It's a
Yes,
definite
I would. I
almost.
would. I would say that. I would say it's a $70 game. 60, maybe $70 game. I don't think it's worth 80. This is
Definitely
not the
not.
game to introduce an $80 price tag. It feels like cheap, and it feels like you're trying to take as much money out of your customers as you can. It. This is how you kill your fan base, Nintendo.
Yep.
All right. So next up, um, what do you want to do? Do you want to do the Xbox or WWDC?
Uh, WWDC.
All right. So
What is that again?
Apple had their worldwide developer conference for their Apple stuff. The Apple showcase essentially. Um, so for all of
Oh.
their products, they are jumping their version number. Excuse me. So almost all of the versions have been like between 18, 17, 19, something like that. They have streamlined the process and are naming the OSs, all major OS numbers, by year. So iOS version 26, so iOS 26, iPadOS 26, all releasing beginning of 2026. I actually like that. It's a move that Samsung made quite a bit ago for their phones. The Samsung Galaxy S24 came out in the year 2024. So I see the reasoning there, and I kind of like it. I really kind of like it. I also think I just really like it. I'll just end it that. So a couple cool things are coming. To the iPhone, we are getting call screening, which is super nice. About time. They are implementing their new liquid glass design, which is essentially like iPhone getting a Windows Vista, Windows 7 treatment, with everything being like translucent and see-through and stuff, which is super cool. Apple apologizes for the Apple Intelligence delays, which is like Apple apologizing? When did that happen? The Vision Pro, the Apple Vision Pro, the $3,500 device, now supports most outside accessories, most notably the PSVR 2 controllers for gaming, which is super cool. They're doing a redesign for Apple CarPlay. They're doing Vision OS has floating widgets, so you can stick a widget on the wall and it just stays there like a virtual clock or whatever. So when you put on their headset, you just have a floating AR clock there. You can have it for clocks, calendars, all these sort of widgets, which is super cool.
It is
Here we
actually
get into
really
the
cool.
fun stuff.
Like I don't really care for it, but
Yeah, no, it's super cool. All right, now we get into the stuff I'm interested in. iPad OS. Journal is finally coming to iPad. iPad OS now has a multitasking and windowing system, a better file system. You can resize your windows for all of your apps. Yeah. Just and it gets a dedicated phone app so that you can. So my question will be, Can a mini iPad mini replace your iPhone? I mean, it has a SIM card slot for cellular. Can an iPad replace your phone? Like a mini iPad? That'll be super cool. Because the iPad is now a larger phone, and it's also a portable desktop. I think iPad's gonna have a huge shift in iPad OS 26. So I'm kind of super excited for this. One second. Yeah, okay. Sorry about that, guys. I'm really not feeling it today. The Homebrew channel is dead. This is kind of old news from last month, but the Homebrew channel GitHub has been officially discontinued for the Wii. Mostly because, unfortunately, the Homebrew channel GitHub eventually, reason being is that they ended up stealing code without giving credit. So, that's not okay. Yeah. Alright.
I did not hear about that.
Yeah. So, Summer Game Fest. More, game announcements. So, the big topic with this guy. Microsoft announced an official Xbox handheld in collaboration with Asus. The Xbox ROG Ally and Xbox ROG Ally X. It's interesting. We don't have a price yet, so I don't know how impactful this will be. But this just shows that the Steam Deck lit a fire under Microsoft, because this is the first time that the Xbox team was allowed to integrate and mess around with Windows' team and mess around on Windows Hood to make Xbox apps and stuff seamless and just make a just work product with Windows, which has been notoriously terrible for the last couple of years. And a launch title for this device will be Hollow Knight Silksong. That'll be interesting. I have to ask, what strings did Microsoft have to pull for that one? This has to be why Silksong wasn't mentioned, or it was just in a scissor reel at the Switch 1. It has to be. Because Nintendo, would have highlighted it if something else wasn't going on. And now we know it was. It was that the fact that Xbox was announcing it as a launch title for their new handheld. So here's my tinfoil hat, okay? I think Hollow Knight Silksong was supposed to be a launch title. And then Microsoft bought them and said, yeah, nah, we want it to be a launch title for our new PC handheld. That's my tin hat.
A pretty plausible theory, to be honest. Because it's been so long, people have been waiting for Silksong. I wouldn't be surprised if they,
Other titles shown off were Call of Duty Black Ops 7. I'm not a COD guy. One game that wasn't shown off was Fable. A game that people have been anticipating for a long time. So, people are wondering, where is Fable? It was supposed to be a 2025, and it got delayed to 2026. Ooh, here's a good one. Outer Wilds 2 was announced, and Super Meat Boy 3D. I'll be honest, I'm not into those franchises, but super cool to see these sequels. If I might try them out whenever I play the first one. Here's one I really wanted to talk about. Beast of Reincarnation by Game Freak. Yes,
My
by
Xbox?
Game. Yes, an Xbox showcase showed off a high-quality, open-world, really realistic lighting and detailed game by Game Freak. That shocked everyone to their core, because I think this shows right here, Game Freak could make a Pokemon game that was exactly what we wanted, but they can't because they are on such tight deadlines with trading cards and stuff. I suspect Creature Inc. has both Nintendo and Game Freak captured. I think Creature Inc. has a bigger role in the Pokemon Company and deadlines of everything than Nintendo and Game Freak. Anyways, what do you think?
I missed out, or I must have overlooked that one, because like, sometimes I honestly forget that Game Freak isn't 100% owned by Nintendo. I always thought it was kind of like a next level game situation,
Yeah.
but I guess I was
So,
wrong.
Pokemon Company is owned by 3 companies. You have Creature Inc., who creates all the trading cards and stuff. You have Nintendo, who also owns it. And then you also have Game Freak, who also co-owns it. So all 3 of them have pieces in the Pokemon pie.
Interesting.
Alright. Here's what I'm a bit mixed on. Persona 4 Revival. A remake of Persona 4. I'm gonna say it. I don't think Persona 4 needs a remake. It looks beautiful. I just don't think it needs a remake. There are so many other games that need a remake first. Or better yet, Persona, you can make a new game! You haven't made a new Persona game in 10 years. But that's just me.
Very fair, to be honest, because like I've seen it came out on PS2 initially, right? Like late into the PS2's lifespan.
PS2, then it got a remaster for the Vita, and is the best game on the Vita. And then that remaster got a PC port in 2019. people really played this game a lot during on PC um, over COVID because it was such a comfy game, and it was $20.
Yeah, my cousin played that. I vividly remember that, or vaguely remember that, seeing that on his computer.
Yeah, no, it was. My problem is that they just keep remaking or remastering Persona 3, 4, and 5, and don't give us or do spin-offs on those three titles and won't give us a new title. Or, you know, remaster Persona 1 and 2, considering those two have aged very, very poorly and really need a remake. But they won't do it. Which kind of sucks. But I really just want a freaking original Persona game again. It's been 10 years on Persona 5 and 3 Remake. Just give me a brand new Persona game, please. Alright. Finish things up. More general Summer Game Fest news. A new game by House House, developers of Untitled Goose Game. So this game, excuse me, is called Big Walk. It is a game coming out in 2026 and is supposed to be a bit of a multiplayer exploration game. It's super interesting. They have a VCN and stuff. They have a proximity voice chat system. So it's essentially supposed to be an exploration 3D walking simulator. I'm curious at this one because of what they've done previously. Untitled Goose Game was fantastic. I'm curious. And then the other announcement, which was pretty much the only one from PlayStation that I found interesting, Resident Evil 8. Resident Evil Requiem. Or is that sorry. No, that's
Village
Resident
was
Evil
8.
9, sorry. 8 was Village, sorry. So I'm interested. It's evidently supposed to be a next-gen horror reboot, wrapping up the current story arcs and starting a new era for the series. So it's essentially supposed to be like a Help Wanted or a Security Breach for the Resident Evil franchise, tying up a whole bunch of the loose ends. Or no, yeah, I would say Help Wanted, tying up loose ends of the previous arcs, as well as starting a new arcs for Resident Evil. I'm curious. I've not played a lot of Resident Evil games, but I'm curious. Other than that, I think that's everything we have on the dock. Do we got anything from chat? If you guys are all in the chat, go ahead and type, and I'll go ahead and see it. Alright, I'm not seeing anything at the moment. I'll keep letting it go. But anyways, I think that's everything I got. Do you have anything else you want to talk about today, Hunter? Was there any
Nothing I
games
can
that
really
checked?
think of.
Yeah.
Any games that will.
I think by this time next week, I will be starting Breath of the Wild. Um, but what I will be doing first, though, actually no, I won't be starting Breath of the Wild. I'm gonna be looking up guides and try and finish up the completion process for um, um, finish up the completion process for Mario Kart World and write the script for that review, and then I'll start on Breath of the Wild. I'm torn on what game I want to do next after Mario Kart World. I'm torn between three options. I'm torn between Clubhouse Games, Mario Odyssey, and Breath of the Wild. Chat, do you have any suggestions on what I want to do? I think after this I'll be done. I'll be hammering for a collectathon with a lot more maps and stuff in flow and controls that I can do. I might go into Odyssey, honestly. Yeah, I think I might go into
That's
Odyssey.
That's a great starting point. Actually, I'd say. 'Cause, like,
Yeah.
I forgot you said you never had a Switch one, right?
No, I did not. I just grabbed a bunch of games. I would like to try Metroid Prime Remastered as well. I don't know if they have an upgrade thing for it. I wonder if they added the mouse controls to it.
They may have.
Or
I'm
if
not
it's
quite sure.
just
I
for
remember they.
Metroid Prime 4. Yeah. It'd be interesting. I'd have to give it a try. Anyways, I think that wraps it up. Have good vibes, gamers, and try to have a good time. Go hunt and go achieve whatever you need, whatever you want. Don't be afraid to chase your dreams. Alright, do you have anything else you want to say to the lovely folks, Hunter?
Not much besides have a good night and go to sleep on time and don't eat. I had a joke for that somewhere.
Don't eat. Yes,
Never
he says
mind.
don't eat. Nobody
Don't eat.
Have a good one, YouTube. Alright, Twitch. Alright, let me send you guys somewhere. Give me one